Have you ever been tempted to buy a brand new scope and wondering if it is worth your hard-earned money? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be unboxing the Zerotech 4.5 to 27 by 50mm R3. And yes, this scope was sent to me by Zerotech for a review. But let me tell you one thing, this won't be one of those, look at this shiny new product video. I'm going to test it properly under real world conditions and give you the facts that you need to decide if honestly it is worth it. So let's dive in. So once again, before we jump into it, I want to be really upfront. Zerotech did send me this scope for a review, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to hold back. My reviews are always going to be honest because my goal is to give you the information that you need to make the right decision. So one thing that I'm really happy about and appreciate is how this scope was actually shipped to me in a plain cardboard box. You know, it wasn't flashy, but honestly, that is a great thing because if it gets delivered while you're out, you know, honestly, it is less likely to catch those porch pirates, somebody passing by. So I got to say that I was very happy with that the box did come in a plain box. It wasn't labeled with Zerotech. It wasn't labeled with anything. Just where I live, you know, like I get my deliveries straight to the post office because the post office in Australia, for all the Aussie viewers, you know how difficult Australia Post is. It was sent directly to the post office. But again, I just want to make mention of that if you are living in a home and you do get your parcels, I think it is great. A plain cardboard box, you know, it really does hide the fact that it does have something valuable inside it. Next thing, inside the box, the scope was secured with, you know, simple plain Jane bubble wrap. My honest opinion was it was simple and it done exactly what it needs to do. It protected the scope during its transit. I'm not exactly sure where the scope come from in Australia, so it was like I am an Australian, obviously, but you know, again, you know, Australia Post is very rough, and you know, this scope did arrive with no dings, no scratches, no nothing. Like it does have a cover box. I've taken it off just for the purpose of this, but you know, the scope did arrive in perfect condition. So now that we got everything out of the box, I just wanted to lay it out on the table so it's nice and easy so then we can certainly talk about it. First of all, it is the scope itself. This thing is very well built and it does come with scope covers already on it. Now, one thing I was really quite surprised about is that it's actually metal scope covers, which I was, you know, super happy with, and certainly going to be interesting to see how they stand up over time, especially where I live is, you know, very high moisture environment, and you know, especially some of these screws and things like that can rust fairly quickly, but you know, it'll be interesting to see how that turns out over time. What else you get in the box? You know, there's a little packet of paper and everything like that. You get some nice little stickers. You also get a lens cleaning cloth. The next thing you get is a very nice tool to be able to work on your turrets as well. Next thing you get is a little Allen key and some grub screws. Now, I haven't really read through the instructions yet, but I'm assuming those little grub screws are for your zero stops and everything like that. Now, this scope does come with a R3 reticle, which I'll throw up on the screen as well. So certainly is a nice little interesting reticle, especially I like the hash marks in it. Now, some people with precision shooting and venture shooting, they don't like the hash marks because they feel that the reticle is too busy. But for me, I quite like the hash marks because, you know, if you're dealing with windage and those sort of things, I find using hash marks a lot easier to deal with. And of course, when you're doing your holdovers. Next thing you get is a bit of a warranty book as well. So yeah, so there's some basic things that you get inside your package when you receive your scope. All right, let's take a closer look at the scope itself. So this is honestly my first impressions. Again, you know, like this scope has been with me for a few weeks and has just sat on the table in the box, but I haven't actually had it out to play with it itself. You know, honestly, it's got a really great weight. You know, it's not heavy like an Athlon or a Night Force or something like that. It is actually really well weighted, and especially if you're in competitions and you're trying to keep the weight down, this certainly is going to be a good option because when you're dealing with SSAA competitions and you want to get into the light class rifle class, this scope, this is one of the reasons why I reached out to Zerotech and asked for this particular scope, is because this scope can have the magnification range that will allow me to compete in light class. So just having a look at it, the matte finish looks really clean. It looks really professional with, you know, it just looks really well made with no rough edges. Now, I'm going to have a bit of a thing here. So the turrets, they're very crisp, they're very tight. and the clicks are very, very distinct, and it really is a clickable turret on the elevation and the windage. Now, I guess like if we're going to talk about some of the old shooters, now this does have a pop-up locking turret, same as on the elevation and windage. Now, for me to be able to get these turrets to pop up, I actually had to struggle a little bit. Now, this sort of made me think, like, especially some of the older guys that are out there that might have arthritis or have some dexterity issues, that this might actually just be a little bit difficult for you to be able to pop up and do your adjustments. So that's just my sort of first thought about that. Look, moving on to the magnification ring, like I'm not going to show it, but you can watch many videos out there. If you want to see another fantastic review, make sure you see Cyclops Joe. He reviewed this exact scope as well, and he demonstrated in his videos, exactly how great the magnification ring and how smooth it is, and it's not stiff, and it worked really well. Now, moving on to the reticle, it is an R3. It honestly, again, it's very simple, it's uncluttered. It does have those markings in it, which I think is great for precision shooting. And honestly, I'm really excited to be able to put this onto my bench rest gun for long range and, of course, precision shooting. Now, the only other little thing that I can see is the parallax. Now, this scope does parallax down to minimum of 25 meters up to infinity. Now, if you're one of the guys out there that are shooting in competitions such as offhand silhouettes, now some of those offhand silhouettes, now that range is quite low. I believe it is down to 15 meters. So that could be an issue if you wanted to parallax right down. So the minimum parallax on this particular scope is 25 meters. So if you're enjoying this breakdown so far and you want to see more detailed reviews like this, and you'd love if, honestly love if you subscribe, because I just want to say massive thank you to the 2,000 people that have subscribed so far, and just thank you so much to everybody's support in the last 12 months. And, I look forward to, bringing more content like this. So make sure you check out my channel memberships as well. It honestly helps me create more content for you. And of course, that way I can get more equipment and share my thoughts exactly like this one. So I just want to ask, have you used Zerotech products before? Let me know in the comments and how they have performed for you. And what's the number one thing that you look for in a scope? Drop your thoughts below. I honestly would love to hear what matters most to you. So that's it for the unboxing and first impressions of the Zerotech 4.5 to 27 by 50 R3. On paper, this thing looks really amazing. And of course, actually touching this thing, absolutely, I'm honestly looking forward to it. And, throughout the year, make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to be posting shorts and other opinions and my community posts about my progress with this scope as well. So I'm certainly looking forward to it, to try it out again. And I just want to say thank you again for Zerotech for sending me the scope for me to have a go with it.